けど久しぶりにバイブス上げてこう嬉しそうできるスイカ
FELIZ JUEVES, everyone, and welcome to the beginning of Eva Month on Castaway Anime, the month where we turn in our Evangelion V cards. I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
And today, we're going to be talking episodes 1 through 8 of Neon Genesis Evangelion. But first, if you like the podcast and want to hear more of our objectively correct takes, registered trademark, then subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode of Castaway Anime. Now, on to the show.
Yeah, so I mainly know this show, well, obviously as one of the most popular and classic and renowned anime of all time. Pretty much, well, okay, I say everyone loves it, but it is a fair bit divisive in the sense that it seems people either love it or hate it in my experience. With a few exceptions. Like, I've seen some people on AniList give it a 2, which baffles me.
I
like,
think
have
the
you
most
seen an actual 2 out of 10?
Wait, are you talking like a 2 out of 10 take on Evangelion from like a notable critic, or just like a 2 out
Not
of
like
10
a notable
show in
critic,
period?
but people I've friended on AniList. I've seen them give it a 2 out of 10. But the general consensus is that it's pretty damn good.
The only notable critic that I follow that just refuses to rate Evangelion, I presume out of fear that the opinion would not jive with the collective majority, is Shapeforless, who he mentioned it in his big I'm getting into anime video, and he said Evangelion is a show with a funny penguin, and then immediately cuts to the next show.
I saw that when it came out, and I was flabbergasted. And I doubt he'll ever... He's only had one sincere take on that show from what I can see, which is that the original ending of the anime is better than EOE in his opinion.
I did not remember seeing that one, but I do remember him seeing he didn't even rate End of Evangelion, so, you know, I if I were to, you know, get inside his head and presume his taste, I can't help but wonder if it has something to do with the you know, the famous scene that everyone likes to get on Evangelion for.
You know, maybe he just thinks it's plain mid and he doesn't want anyone to know. Probably that's what it is.
Yeah, but then we know people like Trixie, aka Digibro, who has lauded Evangelion as one of the greatest, if not the greatest anime of all time. And not just her, but also, you know, a lot of people. Evangelion is one of the biggest anime of all time, directed by the God King Hideaki Anno, animated at Studio Gainax from the mid-90s. And it's the show that's on not just ours, but like every anime fan's bucket list if they haven't seen it already.
Yeah, God, I suck at watching popular anime. I suck at watching the things I'm supposed to. And that's why this has been on my plan to watch.
We've condemned ourselves to the seasonal grind. And that is the big downfall.
A fate
of that
worse
mindset.
than death, frankly.
It's good for the algorithm, but not good for your soul. It's not good for your culture.
Hey, you know what? Eva is timeless. I'm sure we can scrape in a couple views at least. You know, maybe we can get this to 30 views.
The podcast hasn't been doing great numbers recently, but I think Evangelion must be like an instant view farmer, surely. Especially the whole reason that we started Eva Month was because GKIDS is gonna put End of Evangelion in theaters for the first time. And when we saw that news, we were like, dude, this is such like a landmark movie, not just anime, but like film in general. And for it to come to the big screen in America for the first time, it's an opportunity you can't let go to the wayside. So we decided to take this opportunity to say, you know what? Fuck Bleach, fuck Frieren, fuck Undead Unluck, fuck all the other shows, fuck Solo Leveling in particular. Let's just watch Evangelion finally for the first time.
Yeah, we kinda pushed our attempts at watching Solo Leveling off a cliff. I'll probably try episode 2 in my own time, but for Castaway Anime, I don't think it's happening.
I can't help but fear that it just wouldn't be good. I will, if I find the spare time now. My spare time is going to be a lot less frequent due to me starting a full-time job recently. But if I do find it in between like making videos and working on Eva Month, it'll probably and when I watch it, I can't help but fear that it'll be mid. But you know what? We're not talking about solo leveling. We're talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion. So off rip, first 8 episodes. What do you think?
All right. The entire time while I was watching it, flashbacks were going in my mind of the Sangatsu no Lion podcasts as I kept finding the show good and kept wondering, how will Neon crush my hopes and dreams by calling it pretentious?
Okay.
For some reason.
I'm glad to sate your fears because I don't think it's pretentious.
Thank God.
I do think it can be a little silly in its sci-fi techno mumbo jumbo, which I know is kind of
I was prepared for. Like Eva's pretty notorious for that. We have a 0.00001% of executing this mission, and it's like every mission, and they succeed every time.
Yeah, it's not just that. Like that, don't really care about. It's the how the fuck are they able to rebuild the Evas so quickly from like the most. They look like they take so long to make, like massive undertaking of projects. And they suffer exterior damage constantly that I imagine would take like months, if not years, to fix. Sometimes an entire arm will get torn off, or a hole will just straight up be punched through it, or the hull will like melt from the outside. But then they just replace it in like what seems to be days, if at most like a couple weeks of time. And I know part of the reason is that because as we find out, not fully explained, but we are able to piece together from what Shinji sees, my bad, is that the Evas are not 100% mechanical. They are part biological, presumably using like some kind of angel as the basis, because there's no what else could that possibly be if not another one of the angels that they just like built the mech around. Like they're Mecha Godzillaing it.
Yeah, that actually didn't really register with me as a problem. What I was more so questioning about, and granted we do get a sort of explanation in episode 8, which is why the angels are all attacking the same spot where the Evas are generally located. It's pretty much every angel in the show. I think literally everyone except for episode 8, where they were out at sea and an angel attacked. And I think the explanation for that, it was not clear at first, but I think what they're going for is that the angels specifically are attracted to the Evas and are trying to attack them first. And that's why they all appear at the same spot. And so because this, and I guess that's why the city is so well, or I guess part of why it's so well guarded, is that, okay, we know if the angels are going to attack, they're going to attack here. I think that's why they're all attacking the same place. It was a massive question mark above my head for the first 7 episodes.
Yeah, like the reason they're attacking, I just assumed, is because that's just because the monsters and what they're doing. Like it is, you are right to think that it's damn, like I know half of the world is like fucked from the second impact, but it is sure convenient that of all these otherworldly like alien-like monsters are coming to attack Tokyo 3 specifically. But you know, whatever. It's like. It could be like, you know, Monster of the Week inspired by, you know, the Toku Sentai or whatever, but that's not what the show is really about. What the show is a exploration of depression, and what the whole point of Evangelion, at least from the first 8 episodes, is the depiction of a soul, a lost soul, of someone who has nothing to live for. And his name is Shinji Ikari, the Mr. Get in the Robot himself.
It's funny that you mentioned Get in the Robot, because after watching episode 3, I was thinking I mean, maybe something later in the show specifically is what causes it, and you know, that probably is the case. But when I saw episode 3 specifically, I was like, how did Gideon the Robot become such a big critique of the show? This episode feels custom designed to address that exact point. Because what I love about Eva, one of the things I love about it, well, okay, there's a billion things I love about it. Spoiler alert, I fucking love this show. It is genuinely amazing.
I did kind of come in with the not the like expectation and like looking forward to being like, oh yeah, I can't wait to finally call Evangelion overrated. I've been waiting for this moment my whole life. No, it's like it's actually deserving of the hype that it gets.
Yeah, so far, and oh my god, if it drops the ball, I will be so disappointed. Please don't drop the ball.
Well,
I know it's supposed to stay
when we get to the
relatively
final
good.
2 episodes of the television show, we have to take it with a grain of salt and then pretend like it didn't happen, and then treat End of Evangelion.
Well, I've heard
as the
from
actual
Digi
finale.
that the final 2 episodes are still an 8 out of 10. So I'm hoping for that.
Yeah, it's
And
not the
even
ending
if they aren't End
Anno,
of Eva.
Yeah, it's not the ending Anno wanted to tell. It was executives meddling, being like, "Hey, yo, this ending is kind of like really down and depressing and too artsy fartsy for us. Can we get like it's a more happy ending, please?"
Do
And
we
he's
know
like,
that it's execs meddling? Because I've never heard of that before. I just assumed that at that point they were out of
from
episodes
what I
and out of
researched,
time.
I think it was also that, and then so like maybe they couldn't bring Anno's vision to life the way that he wanted to at first, so he was like, all right, fine, this I guess is like the next best thing. Point is, the ending of the TV show is not the ending that Anno wanted to tell, and End of Evangelion is the ending he wanted to tell. And all its...
And then he made another ending he wanted to tell, but let's not get into that.
That'll be... So we won't... I guess we should say that we're not going to be talking about the rebuilds during Eva Month. We're going to be doing every 8 episodes, or I guess 10 episodes of the final one. Every week this month in March, we're going to be talking on Thursday, FELIZ JUEVES Day. We're going to be talking about a block of episodes from the Evangelion. First 8 episodes this week. The next 8 episodes the next week. The final 10 episodes the week after. And then on the 4th Thursday, the 4th Jueves of the FELIZ, we are going to watch End of Evangelion in theaters, and we're going to talk about it. Because I feel like that's going to be... That's not only regarded as one of like the best anime films of all time, regarded as one of the greatest films and works of art of all time. So that's gonna be like a milestone episode.
Yeah, we're gonna be watching it the way God intended, and it's gonna be super exciting. But back to the actual block of episodes
Shinji
at hand.
Molest Asuka on the big screen the way God intended.
Exactly. So, the tangent I was on about the whole Gideon the Robot thing. What I love about Evangelion is that, okay, so in a lot of anime, right, you've got our heroic protagonist who's willing to stand up to the danger presented in front of them. And that's not bad by any means. That is, in fact, a good thing in a lot of the shows that it's in, that the protagonist is willing to stand up and save the day and be courageous and, be still terrified at certain moments, but in general, unfazed enough so that they can, stand up to the task ahead of them. For Shinji, saving the day is mental torture, especially at the beginning of the series. At the point we're at near the end of the block of episodes, he is no longer at the point where he's constantly resisting getting in the robot. He is now, because of the effects of Misato in his life, he is able to, stand up to the day and save people a lot more readily. And, that's good to see. But at the beginning of the show, he is, episode 3 is super intense.
Yeah, not to mention even episode 1, you could argue that's where the Get in the Robot meme Shinji started. But I would say, if you were in Shinji's position, would you fucking get in the robot when you're a 14-year-old kid with no mom? Your dad doesn't give a fuck about you unless it's to tell you to get in the goddamn robot that you have no idea how to pilot. You didn't even know it existed until 5 seconds ago. and you're told, all right, you're the only one who's gonna pilot it to fight these like giant monsters that were responsible for, destroying the planet before. And if you don't, we're gonna put this like injured cripple girl inside the mech. So, your move, Shinji.
Yeah, I think for most people it would be as difficult of a decision as Shinji takes it, right? Because he does not take it well. And what I love about episode 3 is there's this dude, I don't remember his name, but he's one of the classmate guys of the series, and his sister gets injured in some rubble in the first attack. Toji. And Toji, he's pissed off, he punches Shinji in the face, and he's like, well, what the fuck, man? You barely even piloted that thing. And then he ends up in the cockpit with Shinji at the end of the episode. And in a, once again, extremely intense scene, alright, so he's fighting this angel. And he's got like a minute left before it runs out of power. And Misato is yelling at him, get back, you can't take on that thing. But Shinji, he has his father's vision in his head, right? Of these robots, they're gonna save the day. You gotta save the day, Shinji. So he decides at the last moment to ignore Misato's orders and just strike the core of that thing. And the lights go red because it's about to run out of power. And he starts screaming at the top of his lungs and just jabbing a sword in the core of that motherfucker.
Yeah, that scene was intense. I loved I love when the Evas go berserk. I love the designs of the Evas, period. It's no wonder why they're so iconic mecha designs. Eva 01 especially
is that design, it's iconic for a reason. Like, I would get a figure of that. That is so cool.
I would not be satisfied with like a half-assed poor paint job when I'd have to drop like, I feel like I'd have to drop like $500 on like a high detailed statue of it to do it justice.
And that's why Eva is an infinite money printer in Japan.
Exactly. That Anno was playing the long game.
Yeah, and one more thing about that scene is that afterwards, once the battle is all said and done, the robot has powered down and the angel is defeated, Shinji just bursts into tears. And, like, the two classmate guys have to watch, like, this guy who, Toji just ridiculed. Like,
yeah,
they get
and
to
now
see
he
his
finds,
suffering
and he gets like a frame of
firsthand.
reference of being like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't be like judging you so harshly because now I've seen what the fuck, like the responsibility that you bear and also the toll that it exerts on you. You're a fucking stronger man than I am. And like, and if you know what, Shinji, if you didn't pilot the robot and kill the angel might have just killed all of us, including my sister. So I think maybe I overreacted a smidge.
Dude, Toji's such a bro. And I'm pretty sure it's near the end of episode 4. He's like, Shinji, I punched you in the face twice. You punch me in the face twice. And I just stood up and clapped. I was like, you're such a bro, man. I love you. You're base.
I love this show's so full of little small moments that you'll probably maybe like forget when you're thinking of like the big grand moments, but then when you on rewatches, they'll probably if you would ever rewatch the show, you'll see them and then you'll go, oh yeah, that was so cool. Like for this one, while I still have it fresh in my memory, when Shinji is about to punch Toji in the face, he cries out, wait, and Shinji like stops right in front of his face. And I thought they were gonna pull like some bitch-ass cop-out, and he was gonna be like, you know what, the idea that you were going to punch me in the face, that you were gonna follow through with it was, good enough. It shows me that you were a man, Shinji. I was like, come on, no, you owe him this one. But then he just says, don't hold back. Like, don't you dare, like, pull your punch, give it your all. And Shinji does. And I was like, and then Toji's like, all right, we're cool now. I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah, and it was a hard punch, and he gets the full recoil, and then he gets back up, and he just smiles at him. I'm like, this guy, he's so cool. Just the coolest classmate guy.
What a bro. So many awesome moments in the like little moments that like dude, the first episode, it like I don't mean to get all boomer on us, but they literally just don't make anime like this anymore. The backgrounds,
I had that same thought in my head the entire time.
the
And
lack of
I
ugly
felt myself
CG.
just growing wrinkles from how boomer my thoughts were getting when I saw this is one of the best looking anime I've ever seen. Like,
Yeah, dude,
straight up.
fucking episode 1 where the angel catches that missile that they shoot at him, and it doesn't just explode in his hands. It like segments like a mechanical banana and like peels back and then explodes, and the explosion is fucking beautifully animated. It's got like little blue
it's
lines.
not even. Yeah, and it's not even necessarily just the raw animation quality in each cut, because there are a lot of cuts where, you know, it'll just be a panning shot. But the thing is, the show is so beautifully directed and so atmospheric that it's like, you don't even really notice. Like, you cognitively notice, but you do not feel it in the quality of what you are watching. Because the entire time it is just beautiful.
This is the one, animation, of course, but like the other aspect of the show that like lived up 100% to all the, dick sucking I heard about it. This is one of the best directed anime I've ever seen in my life. So many amazing looking shots. Like the stat in episode 1. I let me see if I can pull through all like a list of my favorite shots from this block of episodes alone. Episode 1, the static of the boardroom screen reflecting in director Gendo's eyes.
I
awesome.
screenshotted that. We probably screenshotted all the same shots.
Probably. The reveal of Tokyo 3 being an upside down underground base that's like looks like it's being suspended from the ceiling, when in actuality the buildings just retract underground when the Angels and Eva's fight, so that way they can
I screenshotted
minimize
that too.
collateral damage. Like, that's such an awe-inspiring setting. The shot of the three of them going in, still in episode 1. This is all in episode 1, by the way. The shot of Shinji, Misato, and I think it was either Ritsuko or Gendo was there. I can't remember who the third one was.
Yeah, it was Ritsuko.
Okay. Yeah, the shot of the three of them going up the elevator, silhouetted against like this pink-purple background. And then a giant fucking hand, which is like the hand of the Eva 01, is just like in there in the background.
I
like
paused that shot and just stared at it for a good 20 seconds. Soak it in. Soaking in. Yeah. I needed to, because it was so cool.
I got a filmmaking boner from this show. I could not beat the stiffy down with a fucking sledgehammer. What other good shots? Hang on, let me while we're already on the topic, I need to find all the... Oh yeah, framing in episode 2, framing the shot of Shinji trying to like go out of a door, but then his dad is on the opposite side of the door, and then framing the shot from below so that the door frame acts as like a dividing wall between Shinji and his dad. Kinography. I gotta find more. I should have fucking like underlined them so I could see them better. Can you think of anything else while I'm looking for one?
Yeah, here, I'll go through some of my shots. So that one shot, this is in episode 2, of Shinji just laying limp on his bed, that I've seen like a billion times on YouTube when people are like talking about this show. And I saw
that's where all the
like,
fake
pointed at the
screen,
screen like
Evangelion like Twitter quotes come from, where they just took that shot and they put the most like sad, depressing emo shit all over that screenshot.
But the thing is, it's so perfect at communicating that, like, just every
this is what
such
depression
a moody
looks
and
like.
great shot.
Yeah, I have been Shinji in that scenario before, and the way that they use filmmaking and like colors and whatnot to emphasize it without beating you over the head with the point, and having to outright say that, oh damn, I'm so sad, the world makes me so sad. Whereas a show like Sangatsu would use inner monologue
shut up right now.
to beat yourself over the head with the point, or something like ReZero, where it would like explain so much of what the characters are feeling instead of letting us feel what the characters are feeling just by like seeing it and seeing their like visual body language and reactions. This show is better than that. It actually took some like filmmaking notes. I found another good shot. Episode 4. Misato bathed in blue light while Shinji is shrouded in darkness, when she's trying to be like, all right, if you're not gonna pilot
get that one.
Yeah, if you're not gonna pilot
so
the Eva
Kino.
Shinji, then just leave, because this attitude of you being like, oh, if you're not gonna, if you feel like if you're fine with dying while you're fighting, then don't even bother coming back. So that one's goated.
Dude, what I like about that shot as well, because Misato, at this point, his relationship with Misato is both that she is a comforting presence, but also that she's, helping him get into the robot, which is this thing he really doesn't want to do. And so while he's framed in the dark, Misato is framed in the light to represent how she's that, the light in his life. But also, she's silhouetted, which makes her disconcerting.
Yeah,
and it's the perfect representation of all those emotions.
Yeah, fucking, Misato moving the beer can out of the way of the table when Shinji's naked and it's censoring his dick, and then moving it to reveal that there's another can behind it. It's just a smaller one. Peak directing. I also love, this one's less of a, banger shot, but just, great, way of, once again, wordless storytelling without us needing to, fill the silence with, needless dialogue. When Shinji in episode 3 is out. Hang on, let me make sure I got this one right. Is this episode 2 or 3? No, it's episode 4. My bad. Episode 4, where Shinji runs away from home, doesn't want to go to school, doesn't want to do Eva training and pilot the robot anymore. Shinji has such mega depression that he spends his entire day listening to the same music tracks on his Walkman while sitting on a looping train, going nowhere as the people one by one leave, and it's a looping train. They would go out of the way to say that it's a train that loops. It doesn't go from one end to another. So he
I
just
didn't even catch the looping train part.
Yeah, so that implies that he's probably passed by any one place he's been to at least more than once. And he just doesn't get out because he just rather waste his time idly on a train doing nothing than engage with life and society. And when he does say, oh, the train is closing soon, I guess I, gotta get home, he doesn't go home. He goes to see a movie, has this blank-eyed, dead-eyed expression. And the only thing that snaps him out of it is not the movie itself, but out of the corner of his eye, he sees this couple fooling around, making out during the movie. That snaps him out of his trance, and you get this feeling without any dialogue of him saying that, oh man, I want someone like that. I want to be I want to have a friend or a loved one like that. No, his eyes just light up. It's the only thing that snaps him out of his trance. His eyes fill with his normal complexion again. And we see that that happens because he's looking at this couple, so that's instantly communicated without dialogue. Goated storytelling.
Another thing I want to highlight, just even aside from the actual shots themselves, is just the atmosphere of the entire show that is furthered by the shots. Because I don't want to be all kids these days on ya, but I'm gonna be all kids these days on ya. Someone raised on TikTok is not gonna sit through this show, because there are so many long shots of just atmosphere. It really wants you to sit in the show and take it all in.
At the end of episode 4, doesn't that episode end on a minute-long shot of a long shot of Shinji and Misato staring at each other from across a train platform.
I literally wrote in my notes, isn't this a bit early for the elevator scene to start playing?
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, not to out myself, I was kind of be okay, did we really need to hold it for this long, Anno? But at least he did fill the silence with life is going on. We're hearing of all these different train announcements as they it's not a moment frozen in time, this is happening in real time. Life is happening. We're getting a sense of like the world is alive. This world is lived in. Do I think that these two characters are holding this awkward stare for a little long? Yeah, but am I going to bellyache about it when the rest of the directing is this fucking, god tier? No.
And see, even outside of that moment, it's like, dude, the landscape looks like at the same time naturalistic and surreal, where the lighting in some shots will just go completely crazy. Like, shout out to the sunset in episode 4 where the entire world is just pure magenta. That was fucking beautiful.
Crunchy Bagels when he
episode
sees
4
a
had
magenta background.
Crunchy Bagels when he sees any, like, single colored background. Yeah, like in episode 6, the explosions color the entire... Well, they color the sky white, but the world red. And I screenshotted all of those little clips because I had to. You weren't gonna keep me away from screenshotting that. Dude,
Yeah,
I fucking love every shot in this goddamn show.
Yeah, it is the kind of show where like almost every background is like wallpaper material. Even like down to oh god, excuse me. Even down to like the more basic settings like the school. Whereas like while it may not be, as imaginative as the Nerve or Tokyo 3, we're able to like navigate around the settings so often that I feel like I could, if I lived in Tokyo 3, I could find my way around this setting just by having watched the show.
I'm not sure if I'd go that far, but maybe if I was continually referencing it, it'd give me a fair few pointers. Because it does feel really lived in, and yeah, it has a kayfabe to it. And
yeah,
I really need to ask you, please name a show that looks better than this. Because I'm not gonna lie, like outside of films, I cannot think of any anime that looks better than this. Like, I straight up can't. I
would have to like list out all of like the most popular and like greatest anime of all time, like all out in front of me. I suppose I could pick something like the thing is the only things that are coming to mind are shows like Gurren Lagann or Kill la Kill, who they may not be as technically impressive, but they use creative visuals and art direction to make their settings and their characters and worlds come to life. Or like I could reference a show like Bocchi the Rock, whereas I think it looks fantastic, not from like a setting perspective, even though the backgrounds are really fucking phenomenal, and they're like impressive on a technical aspect, but not as creative, because it's a sci-fi versus a slice of life. But then you weigh the creative use of comedy and the different animation styles, and that's like we're getting into, I suppose that's getting into a like more meta way of saying like how good a show is. If we're talking purely the strength of its animation alone, like its art and animation in the traditional sense, I can't think of a show off the top of my head, except for maybe Gurren Lagann, which at the same time is also Gainax. So, well,
So what you're saying is that Gainax was cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, even the shows that you could argue have more animation, it's still like, okay, but they're not as stylized, and the animation doesn't go as hard in each specific cut.
If I get a motherfucker up in this comment section saying, but what about Demon Slayer? I'm gonna smack him upside the head.
They would deserve it completely. But yeah, like the Eva animation in particular, it's like that is where the frame count
that literally
goes
you
hard.
cannot do that today. Now, at least you could, if you put in like the actual effort and manpower and scheduling for it, planned out your production accordingly. But in like the current anime landscape, you would not be able to do that. Unless you had infinite money to throw around, you would not be able to do that.
It's not even just the frame count, but the physicality of it. It
has
feels
such a fucking weight
like you
to
can
it.
touch it. Yeah, like everything feels so grounded and weighty within the setting. It feels like it's literally
which is
happening.
impressive to pull off because once again we're in a world with like techno babble is like at an all-time high. Or like it's
how
it's
does
not
the weird sci-fi about the angels coming down to Earth feel more realistic than like every seasonal slice of life?
Yeah, so like what is it's the sum of all of its parts coming together that makes it, the best product that it possibly could be. Whereas I think compared to, some bullshitter isekai of a seasonal, or like even, let's throw shit like the trash out the window right now. Let's compare it to a contemporary seasonal. Let's compare it to like, I don't know, fucking Metallic Rouge. That's a sci-fi. It has robots in it, and from the looks of it, could become a mecha at some point. What does the first episode of Evangelion have that the first episode of Metallic Rouge did not have?
Well, for starters, I just like the look of Eva more, personally. I mean, if we're just talking about it from a visuals perspective, I'd say more immediately appealing direction, animation. Admittedly, it is a bit of a difficult comparison, especially because I don't remember that much about Metallic Rouge. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you.
I enjoyed what I saw of the first episode of Metallic Rouge, but like it's comparing, a well-made first episode to a godlike first episode where they're able to establish, so many emotional beats, so many emotional connections. We understand Shinji's relationship with his father and his motivation for doing what he does in the first episode alone. Whereas we don't really get all of that in the first episode of Metallic Rouge. Not to say you need to, know everything about everything, how your characters operate from episode 1. But you should definitely have a
you
feel
say
of,
that,
like,
but Eva doesn't even do that, because Eva is really, like, it really wants
Ava's
to slowly
dense.
wrap
Ava's
you
fucking
into
dense.
Yeah. It wants you to
But I'm
be
saying
slowly wrapped into its world.
You do get more of a feel of Shinji's like relationship with people and, himself as the show goes along. But I'm saying that by the end of episode 1, you understand like what his deal is.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because this is a good time to talk about Shinji. Like let's zero in on Shinji. We mentioned it earlier, the whole fucking getting the robot thing and how, if you were in his position, you wouldn't get in the robot either. But we have to understand like why Shinji is the way that he is and what he is. And what Shinji is a friendless loser. He is a depressed, friendless loser who like has nothing to live for, really.
Yeah, so his mother is dead, I'm pretty sure, and his father, not much better, completely absent from his life, where he explicitly cares about the Eva and his scientific research, and even Rei, far more than he does his own son.
It's when Rei, like seeing his reaction to Rei being, potentially in danger versus his own son, his own flesh and blood, being like, yeah, well, I need you to pilot the Eva, but he doesn't look like he could give two shits whether he lives or dies. Does not even, at the very least, come even close to showing the same level of care and consideration for him that he does Rei. That really drives home how much of a bastard father he is.
Dude, when he's talking to Shinji, or, the conversation is around him, like, he does not smile unless it's, like, some triumph of the Eva, the fucking suits that he pilots. Like, oh,
he's
my
not proud of
technology
Shinji,
is
he's
doing
proud
good.
of the Eva.
Yeah,
and Shinji,
whereas
Shinji is like a byproduct
Rei,
of that.
He'll be in a normal conversation with Rei, smiling it up, and then he'll watch from the background. Like, he'll do it in front of his son, when his son is just right there for him to see. And
Yeah,
I'm not
that
sure
shot
how...
of Shinji like doing the test inside of the Eva and then seeing Rei and Gendo having a happy smiling conversation, and he's just sitting there like, what the fuck, Dad? Why don't you treat me like that?
Yeah, dude has not been has not had it well for most of his life.
And what makes this delectable as a viewer, and also tragic for Shinji though, is that he does want his father's approval, even though he says that he doesn't. On the outside, he says he doesn't like him. He thinks he's like a failure as a father. He deep down like has admitted to himself that like the part of the reason that I'm piloting the Eva, that even though it's so fucking terrifying and so catastrophic to my mental state to pilot because of what it does, which I'm sure we'll touch on later, but like him being like, I'll do all this just to put myself in a good light in front of my dad. To at some point in, I think it was like episode 3, he was like, why the fuck am I in the robot right now when my dad's not even here to see me? What's the fucking point?
Yeah, it's like Misato even says, I'm pretty sure it's Misato that notes that Shinji doesn't have much of a will of his own at this point in the series. Where
yeah, he constantly
all he's trying to do. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say he constantly replies with yes ma'am, yes ma'am, yes ma'am. He not until after episode 6 do we finally see him start to come out of his shell. Even more so now. At the very least, now he's able to be more sassy and snarky around Misato, who takes note of this and be like, oh, he's like, now he's making friends at school. He's able to, he's able to take shots at me when I'm taking shots at him. So now he's like becoming more of a person. We even see him happily eat lunch and toast with Pen, best character in the show, bar none, like 3 times in episode 7. And he's got a smile on his face while doing it. That is character progression, baby.
Yeah, he is slowly, like you said, coming out of his shell and finding a parental figure in Misato, where episode 7 was entirely about that. Where before, Misato, like at the very beginning, Misato says, hey, yo, I'm going to school with you because your parent is supposed to go. But it's okay. Well, no, Shinji says, hey, yo, but that's, won't that get in the way of your schedule? And she's like, hey, yo, no, it's part of the job. And he's like noticeably upset about it. But
this whole pretense is a job, not like an actual relationship.
But the thing is, Misato is also very clearly starting to see Shinji as a sort of son figure and enjoys having him in her life and enjoys caring for him. What little she does, considering she dumps all the chores on him and is irresponsible to say the least, drinks beer first thing in the morning. But nonetheless, it's the best thing he's got.
Once again, Japan is setting my bar for real-life women to an unrealistic degree. Like, how can real-life women compete with, purple hair, wakes up, drinks beer first thing in the morning? I know her breath smells like shit, eats nothing but, instant food, because that bitch can't cook for herself to save her life. I can fix her. Or rather, I just want to have whatever she has.
Crazy how Misato is setting an unrealistic high for women by setting an unrealistic low for social decency.
She's proto Ikari.
She literally is, if you think about it, yeah.
Down to the purple hair.
Yeah, but as I was saying, at the end of episode 7, like, Shinji, starts complaining about Misato to his new school friends. He's like, yeah, she's just a complete slob. You shouldn't be lusting after her. Like, she's a wreck. And then he, one of the dudes replies to him, well, she's showing you this side of her that no one else sees. Because she's your family, bro. He's like, oh,
and
that's what it is.
Have a big old smile on his face. He's like, man, it really, I guess we are family. But then there's like this keeps the drama up. it's that little nugget that's been planted by the show throughout, not just in one episode, throughout all of these episodes that we've seen, that, I'm sure Misato has developed a genuine connection with Shinji and does, like, genuinely care for him at least somewhat. But it does look like that she is kind of doing this to bring out his best self, not just exclusively for his best interest, but because it'll make him better at piloting the Eva. Like, she's not doing this out of 100% altruistic means. She's also doing it, I'm sure, on the order of Gendo, at the very least, if not on the order of Gendo, on the idea of, as captain of the operation director of Nerve, I will do whatever it takes to ensure that our goals are met as efficiently as possible. And if that so happens to align with making Shinji a more, fleshed out, sociable person, then banger. But otherwise, it's the seed that she isn't like an altruist.
Well, see, you say that, but she even calls herself out on it near the beginning of the series, where she's like, yeah, back in the first fight of the series, yeah, I didn't really care for Shinji, I just wanted the world to be saved and whatnot. And she's like calling herself out on it. I forget the exact context of the scene, but I do remember that moment.
Yeah, she is. I'm sure, well, maybe I'm not sure, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if this came to a head at one point, because, as we talked about a few minutes ago, when she said, yeah, it's all part of the job, and Shinji is like, visibly upset about that. I'm sure this plot point will like come to a head, and then maybe she'll have to make more of a decision that maybe goes against Nerve's best interest and goes more in the best interest of Shinji, the individual. But, we'll see.
Yeah, so let's see.
Also, her drunken cry every time she
probably
drinks
more.
a beer fills me with life.
Dude, that clip. That's another clip I've seen on YouTube
immediately.
like at least a dozen times.
It's almost like
when I saw it in the show, I
bird
still popped
chirping.
off.
Yeah. Yeah, I did watch the sub, if only because all the showings of End of Evangelion from GKIDS this month will be the subbed version. And it'll be weird for me to go from the, classic Toonami dub or ADV dub to the to sub, so I just stick with sub the whole time. Although if I do ever rewatch Evangelion, I'll probably watch the ADV sub. I mean, the dub rather.
I'm very glad you mentioned the sub, because the voice acting in this show is immaculate. Like, so fucking good.
Shinji's screams are so blood-curdling.
They are. Dude,
when he sees the angel, when he sees like the angel beneath the exoskeleton of the Eva, and then sees the eye and like it stares back into him, and he lets out that guttural scream, and not just I know spoilers, but because this is just such a iconic scream that I've seen, that I'm sure you've seen before too. Won't say the context of it, but there's the scene of him inside the Eva, and it's just like it starts the shot of his face and then pulls out as he's screaming. I'm sure being so attuned with anime, you've seen that scene before.
I don't actually know what you're talking about, so I probably haven't.
Well, in that case, that's gonna be a fucking awesome moment.
Yeah, I know the gist of how Eva goes. I do not know the specific connecting thread in between. Like, I know the ending, everyone does, but yeah, I don't have it entirely spoiled for me. But what I love about the voice acting is that the characters are like 14, and they sound their age very clearly. Like, they sound young. Like, it used to startle me, because I had heard of clips of his voice from the sub before this watch, because, I mean, who hasn't? But it actually took me off guard how young he sounded, and then I had to remind myself, oh yeah, he is 14. Most anime 14-year-olds do not sound 14, at least not nearly as 14 as Shinji does.
Yeah. Shinji definitely has my favorite performance of the entire show. If I were to pick another like a close second, I would probably say Misato. If only because I think I've just been exposed and replaying her clips the most, and because she has the most personality out of anyone in the cast.
Oh, I love Misato. She's so fucking cool.
She's a MILF in the making, baby.
Yeah, and I'm sure Asuka's performance as well, because we've only gotten one episode with her. I'm sure hers will quickly catch up to Misato's.
When we get to the iconic FELIZ JUEVES
exposure.
line that we're all waiting for, I will stand up and applaud.
Yeah, they actually say that in the Japanese dub. They say "FELIZ JUEVES," and then everyone else claps.
Of course, famously, everyone knows that. It's everyone's favorite. You go to any top 10 anime scenes of all time video on YouTube, FELIZ JUEVES will be on that list. It's iconic.
Absolutely, 100%. So another thing that sort of took me off guard is how late the show is to introduce Rei and Asuka. Because the first 4 episodes, like the entirety of them, is just developing Shinji and Misato's relationship. And it is very deserved, for the record. But, because of how iconic the characters are, it's almost, like I said, almost startling how late in the game they show up.
I knew Asuka shows up in episode 8, like 1/3 into the show, but I was surprised at how little screen time Rei ends up getting overall, at least in this block of episodes. I thought she is like going to be as prominent as Misato. I thought Misato was the one who didn't get a lot of screen time, because when people talk about the big 3 female Eva characters, it's the great debate is it's the great Rei versus Asuka debate. Whereas Misato is, usually left out of the conversation. But Misato's had, like, the most screen time of any character behind Shinji.
Yeah, like, she has played a major role in, I think, literally every episode so far. I think literally all of them. Yeah, like, even even episode 6, where Rei is arguably taking the spotlight, she's still there with the entire plan hatched out.
Yeah, and her being she has a great introduction too, where she shows up in this beat up car that's like it's got a few scratches, but it's not the ugliest thing in the world. But then when that bomb goes off and they have to it fucks up the car, and then she has to hold part of it together with like duct tape, and she is able to have a little banter with Shinji, where he's like, he'll say something not out of like snark, but out of like emo sarcasm or like sullenness, and then she'll like swerve the car to get back at him. Even though the show is about depression, it's not depressing. Even though it has a depressing atmosphere, but it's not like all consuming. It's not like it's not a no fun allowed type show. Quite the opposite. We have fun at least once an episode, I feel like.
Yeah, and that's I feel like that could be an easy trap for a show like this to fall into, where you've got 26 episodes of just nothing but soul-crushing torment, and it's like, well, I'm not gonna watch that. I need some levity. And with this show, even though the atmosphere at times can feel all-consuming, it's still, because people just have lighthearted conversations. Like, that's something even people with depression do, because that's how people communicate, through humor, or attempted humor, anyway. And in this show, there's a lot of that, of people just having very human and natural-feeling conversations that does lift up the atmosphere a bit. And I like that about it.
Zeroing back in on Shinji's depression, I love how the show is making a very concise effort to be like, hey, how Shinji's feeling right now, it is no way to live. I love how it is like showing how he's miserable, and it's both a like respectful portrayal of like, yeah, this is what it feels like. Because like we said earlier, there have been times in our lives when we've felt like Shinji, where sitting up in your bed, the lighting's all blue, and it's just you feel like you see some days it's not even worth getting out of bed in the morning. But I love how the show is quick to show Shinji how that is no way to live. How not just by being told by the people around him like Misato, but by forming connections. Like how when he is in episode 4 when he's running away, Kensuke, the glasses friend from school, is able to form a connection with him when he finds him out on the run, and they have a like little camping session in the woods where they bond over having no moms in their lives. Because I don't know if Kensuke's mom is also dead, but she definitely has missing a mom in his life, and them bonding over it while he's such a aimless, obedient kid with no parental figures in his life. It lets him feel like that he's not alone. Quite literally, Evangelion, you are not alone.
Yeah, like the show has already, through his development, just felt a lot lighter, specifically in the final 2 episodes of this block, where Shinji's, like you said, lightened up and has friends now, 2 very close friends at school who are literally like coming to his house very frequently, in part to see Misato, but also to just, see him because they like him and they've formed a connection. And it's really, just really cool to see.
Yeah, I love how they're able to bring Shinji out of his shell when, cause I thought that the student characters were like just going to be very minor, not really important to the story that much at all, given by how all the talks I hear about Eva are about, the big main characters, Shinji, Rei, Asuka, even Misato to an extent, but much like how I did not know how much screen time Misato had, Toji and Kensuke are like, after they're introduced, are I think in pretty much every episode that we've seen so far, right?
Yeah, I think probably at least a minor role in every single one, if not a much
do
larger
they have
one,
an
like in
important,
episode 8.
impactful role in every episode? No, but are they, there to give Shinji, a sociable outlet to keep his, social battery high and keep him from, retracting into himself? The show makes constant reference to the hedgehog's dilemma, where, hedgehogs can't get too close to one another because of their quills, and like, the closer you get to someone, the more likely you are to hurt them, which is, not untrue. The closer you are to a person, the more you are inviting the opportunity for them to hurt you. And Shinji, after, losing his mom and having his dad bail out on him and, not give a fuck about him until it was beneficial to his nerve goal of, saving humanity. And I bet if Shinji was, for whatever reason, not the designated, like, compatible pilot with Avo 01, his dad would not give a single fuck about him.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so that probably, like, without that, parental guidance in his life, he's probably just been conditioned himself to be like, okay, having a mom in my life just caused me to, having a mom and then losing her just caused me to, like, have a relationship that ultimately, like, hurt me in the end, and the same with my dad leaving me. So why invite anyone else into my life if I'm just welcoming pain? I'll just live my life in solitude, not making any more connections. It'll be me and the 2 songs on my Walkman and the endless looping train. But then Anno comes in and is like, no, that is no way to live. Even if even if it welcomes the opportunity of hurt. And we see, those opportunities arise where, he opens himself up to Rei and, they kind of have Rei hurts him in both the physical and emotional sense, where when he badmouths Gendo, she that gets the most emotional we've seen throughout the whole show at this point, and smacks him across the face for badmouthing him. But then at the end of the episode, where they fight the Bass Pro Shop Pyramid Angel and are able to defeat it, he is shown crying. I think it's like the first time he like sheds tears. Like I think he's cried a little bit before, like where he's saying goodbye to his friends and being like, hey, or like crying, when he's sobbing at the end of episode 3 from the effects of piloting the Eva. But this is like the first time he's like shed tears for another person, like he not just himself.
Yeah, that's a fair assertion. Dude, the fucking smile that Rei gives at the end of that episode is so precious.
Yeah,
I screen capped that about 5 times.
She's the original must protect at all costs character.
Yeah, so I guess we can transition smoothly, if you'd like, to Rei, now that we're on the topic.
Yeah, right now there's not going to be too much to talk about with her, because we've kind of already gone over the most of it by talking about her relationship with Gendo and the episode that she shares with Shinji just now. She is the pilot of the prototype Eva Model 00, who has been put through the ringer recently by being presumably put through one too many Eva piloting sessions, and now her mental state is damaged. She reportedly has no past. She just is the compatible pilot of the prototype Eva, and she's got she's emotionless at school. She rarely displays any emotion. Shinji and Gendo are the only ones who are able to elicit any kind of emotion out of her, and so she comes off as like cold and unapproachable to her classmates at school, because she and Shinji go to the same school, go to the same class. But as after the whole thing where Shinji is tasked by Ritsuko to deliver her new security card, and walks into her building and then does the closest thing that we've gotten to an anime trope the entire show, walks in on her naked after a shower, and then through a wacky circumstances falls on top of her naked and accidentally cops a feel of her tit. Anime's been doing that, before Evangelion. It's not the first to coin it, but I feel like it had inadvertently opened Pandora's box by being so successful that, coining, everyone credits Asuka as like the basis of the tsundere character archetype. But I feel like the success of Evangelion was led every, big or aspiring anime creator to be like, okay, copy everything about Evangelion, regardless of like why it was put into it. So, there's moments where the main character, walks in on another character naked. It's been in other anime before. Eva did it, so it must be, a good trope to put in. Let's do it.
I'm gonna cut you off a bit here. I'm not sure how fair that is, because it was mostly rom-com manga and anime adaptations of those manga that had, it was already a very solidified thing by the time Eva did it. So much that I've seen an analysis by Digi of that specific scene. The point of the scene is that whereas in most rom-com anime, it's like,
she'd
overreact,
she gets
super mad and overreact.
Yeah, but I was getting to that. Like she doesn't react. She's like so emotionally distant that like she's only mildly bothered by like, hey, could you please get off of me? And like doesn't show any. She shows more disdain to Shinji bad mouthing Gendo than she does him walking in on her naked and grabbing her tit. Like she's got her priorities all messed up, and that is like an interesting facet about her character. Why is she so emotionally distant? How did she get this way? And why is this her function?
And see, what I like about Shinji taking an interest in her because it's partially because, well, she's the other pilot, so of course he's going to have an interest in her. But I also think Shinji sees a little bit of himself in her when he like, there's all the girls doing the pool stuff, and Toji and the other guy, already forgot his name, but they're all like, oh my god, the girls are so, Kensuke.
Yeah, they
They're
do
like, oh,
make a note to fawn over her Rei's calves in particular, to which I wrote down, Anno, a true man of culture. He knows what the boys like.
And, they're interested in the girls for their appearances, but, like, Shinji is just giving Rei the death stare. And when both of them are like, hey, yo, Shinji, do you have a thing for her? Like, oh, you got a crush, don't you? He's like, nah, she just seems kind of lonely. And
Well,
I'm like,
I'm sure
yeah?
he does harbor, some kind of feelings for her. Like, literally the first time that he
he
sees
absolutely
Rei.
has sexual attraction to her. He has sexual attraction to, like, any woman in front of him he is likely to be sexually attracted to.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's, like, developing romantic feelings for Rei, too. Not because they have, winning chemistry, but because he's got, 14-year-old puberty brain. With the first time he sees Rei in episode 1, he only agrees to step in to pilot the Evas because he's like, well, obviously I can't let this, half the injured girl step into this killer robot and let it, like, fuck her up more than she already has been, so I'll step in. But then, it's seeing her around Nerve HQ and at school being so lonerish, and reminding him of himself. And he recognize it's good because it's able to show that he recognizes that he shouldn't, like, the way that he's been a loner is not healthy for him in long term, and that's the thing about depression. Like, you are able to recognize that you shouldn't feel this way, that, like, like, feeling this way is not good for you. You're not, like, enjoying this feeling of, like, sadness and loneliness, but you can't help feeling it at the time because that's just how your brain has been, wired, unfortunately. But or the circumstances you think are outside your control or actually aren't, but you're just in your own head so much that you can't take the steps on your own to make connections. And that's what Shinji does to Rei. He wants to reach out to her and make a connection with her so he can save her from any kind of feelings that he would have had, that he thinks that she's having because he has had them.
Yeah, and there's even some indication as to her mental state. This small conversation Shinji and Rei have that I really like, where Shinji asks her, why do you pilot the Eva? She's like, well, I have a bond to everyone. And it's essentially her way of saying, like, I'm just doing this mostly out of duty, honestly, because she doesn't have a past and doesn't seem to care for anyone except, like you said, Gendo Ikari. And, it's almost soulless in a way.
Yeah, it's a great contrast between the two of them, because, like, Shinji, up until this point, like, is a person with no purpose in their life. Like, he feels like they just have no purpose to live, whereas Rei has, no purpose except to do this thing because it's all she knows. Because she has no past, like, it might as well be her purpose for living. But there's more to life than piloting a robot to save the world. And even Misato says as such, like, yeah, you're the only one who can pilot Eva 01, Shinji, but if all you're gonna do, if all you're gonna treat it as, like, you're the only one who can do it, and you're gonna do it even if it's, like, even if you think that you're gonna die while doing it, and you don't have and you say you don't have a problem dying, piloting the robot, if you genuinely think that that's an okay thing to happen, you dying, then you're not cut out to, be a pilot.
Yeah, like, Rei, ostensibly, I need to stop saying that word so much, on the surface, has a purpose, but it's a very emotionless one. It's not one she really feels passionate about. She has been ascribed this purpose by others, and so it's almost like this obligation to carry it out. Where, that is also very similar to Shinji's deal, except in the sense that he doesn't necessarily... I mean, I guess he would consider it his purpose if you asked him, but it's only because it's Gendo Ikari's, because he wants to live up to his father and make him proud.
Yeah, and that also contrasts nicely with Asuka, and correct me if I'm wrong, because by the time I was watching episode 8, I had just started acclimating to my new full-time schedule, and I've adjusting my sleep schedule accordingly. So I was not because of the show's fault, but because of new schedule. I was sort of nodding off during this episode. I tried to take as many notes as I could. Well, obviously we're only just introduced to Asuka, so we're gonna get a feel for her personality more as the show goes on, even though she leaves a very strong first impression. It feels like her purpose is that she feels like she's not this sad emo girl, like the sad emo that Rei and Shinji were. She is like bold and brash, and she is like, yeah, I pilot the Eva because it's like she feels like it's more of her calling, right?
At the very least, we don't have
it's
specifics on. We don't have specifics on
her
what
motivation
really
yet, right?
Looks like.
But like,
all we know is that
it looks like she takes,
wants to do it. She is the
she
pretty much the
like
only character in the show that takes pride in what she does and actively finds joy in, at the very least, like, the idea of piloting the mech.
Yeah, the only joy Rei finds in piloting the Eva is because it'll make Gendo happy, therefore it'll make her happy. Whereas Shinji will only get on it to protect his newfound friends and family, when before he didn't really have a purpose to live. Whereas Asuka is like, no, I'm gonna do it because like this is what I was made. No, not made to do in the same way that Rei was, who was like had it thrust upon her. But Asuka, is reared into thinking that oh yeah, I'm the man, the woman for the job. Like, and does take a sense of pride and satisfaction in piloting it, that we, one that comes from the heart more so than Rei and Shinji, at least from the outset.
Yeah, like her sense of pride in being the girl to pilot the mech is so strong that when she sees Shinji, I mean, she first of all has this expectation of who he is in her mind, and the reason why she has
thinks
this
she's
expectation.
She thinks he's supposed to be like her and like take amazing pride in being able to pilot this protector of the world, savior of the planet robot, whereas he is not as gung-ho about it, and that confuses her. Like, what the fuck? Why are you not like as like driven as I am? Why are you so reserved? That's not how the pilot of the Evangelion should be.
But at the same time, I think part of the reason why she has these expectations of who he is in her mind is because she is afraid of being the lesser one, of being the less good pilot, of having her place in this world taken away from her by someone more competent at it than her. And so her blend of emotions when she sees Shinji is at the same time like simultaneously disappointment at how much of just a reserved, shy kid he is, but at the same time this desire to, okay, well, he's kind of pathetic, so I need to like assert my dominance, because she, even though he is this pathetic seeming, she still is afraid in some part of her mind that
she
her
can't
position
allow
in the world
someone
will be
so
taken
pathetic
away.
looking to be cooler and
I don't even think it's necessarily that he's so pathetic that she doesn't want him to take her over. I think it's genuinely that she doesn't want anyone to be able to do it better than she can.
I'm sure that's part of it. You're not wrong in your assertion. I'm just saying that like the addition of Shinji having like a pathetic exterior, or at least has an aura of this like sad boy energy, versus her energetic assertive personality is like, I can't let. Not only will I not let anyone upstage me, I definitely can't let this cuck upstage me. This beta male.
For sure. Like, as soon as she finds an excuse to sneer at someone, she will. She will jump on it immediately.
Yeah, I love how her introduction is, she steps on Toji's hat when it blows away from him when they're on this battleship, and she's like, "Hey, I'm Asuka, the German pilot of the Eva Unit 02." And then the wind blows and reveals a panties to all three of the boys, and so she slaps all three of them, even though only Toji was the one who got like a really good upskirt of it because he was already at her knees trying to pull the hat out from under her foot. But then when Toji was like, "All right, I'll return the favor then," and just like strips and flashes her right then and there, she smacks him second time. It's pretty funny.
It is, and like
kind of see
most,
how someone would be
my
like
favorite
groan at it, but I thought it was endearing.
I didn't groan because my favorite aspect of that scene is the fact that she is literally just stomping on his hat, Toji's hat, and not even like paying attention to him. And so he has to reach down and grab it from her. Like that's the only thing he can do because she's not paying attention to him. Like it's the natural course. And it just
and she slaps
like, and it's
Kensuke
an example
and
of a
Shinji,
character being
they
unreasonable,
were like standing
but like the
at
show
Misato's side, not like trying to get an upskirt, but she slaps him anyway because she's just like, "Oh, how dare, that's the price of admission, baby."
See, what makes
No one
that
gets a
what
free
sells
show.
the scene to me is that in most generic rom-coms it'd be like just expected. That'd be expected behavior from all the female characters. But in Asuka's case, the show treats it as what it is, a patently unreasonable behavior. And we already have a frame of reference for it, because Rei, upon the accidental groping, just acts like, not necessarily a normal human being, but at the very least a reasonable one, in that specific context anyway. And so given that frame of reference, Asuka's actions become, instead of groan-worthy, a character-establishing moment, which I really like.
Yeah, then we'll definitely get more into Asuka in the next podcast when we'll have more than one episode to talk about her.
Yeah, for sure. And another series of shots I like. This can wrap up our thoughts on Asuka real quick. Because while they're fighting the angel in this episode, at first Asuka, the only reason she's taken Shinji to the cockpit is because she wants to show him how much of a badass she is. But at a certain point, Shinji's like, "Well, hold on, I need to take control, bro. This ain't working out, chief." And so he's now the one in the cockpit, and Asuka ain't having that, and she's like, at first is extremely resistant to it, like, "No, I'm supposed to be the one in control." But at the end, she just puts her hands on top of hers, and they are both, controlling the Eva in sync with each other. And it's actually during that moment that their synchronization ratio with the Eva reaches its highest percent for both of them ever recorded. Which, first of all, implies that multiple people in the cockpit working together is the best way to pilot the mechas. Which is, it works its way into the themes of the show, because it's about togetherness
human connection,
and communication.
Baby. Relationships win in the end.
And
it's like the power of friendship, but not like overtly stupid and like beating you over the head with the point.
Yeah, and if I also had to guess, I think this is going to be Asuka's first tiny seed, I must emphasize tiny, moment of slowly beginning to respect Shinji, as I'm sure she will throughout the course of the show. If not overtly, because I'm sure she'll stay a brat for quite a long time after this, but if not overtly, some spot in her head will begin to respect his abilities. And I like that moment. I like the symbolism of it and how it isn't pointed out very heavily.
Yeah, speaking of just the content of these episodes as a whole, Am I crazy, or does this show have like incredibly good fucking pacing? Like, I swear to God, so many episodes I was like, damn, that was a good 3 minutes have gone by. Then I look at the time bar and like, what do you mean it's been like 8 minutes?
See, that's interesting because on a moment-to-moment basis, the show can be slow, but it's the good kind of slow. Because the show's atmosphere, the show is confident in its
There's
atmosphere.
not a lot of, in terms of like the plot, there is not a lot of things happening at once, but in terms of like what is happening and what your brain is picking up on and all of like the little details of the show, all these little character moments that flesh out the characters and their relationships and give you a deeper understanding as to like what makes them tick and how they interact with each other and the world around them. It's like so dense and lets you, soak it all in on your at your own pace that it makes the episodes like feel like they fly by. Like even episode 4 when Shinji was running away from home and I was like by the time that we got to him on the train, I had thought like 3 minutes had passed, but like I think like it was like 7 or 8. And I was like, the episode's like 1/3 over. Like, so many times when we get to the eye catcher in the middle, I was like, no way, it's been like 11 minutes. No, absolutely no way.
Dude, I know I'm gonna rewatch this at some point. Like, I'm pretty much obligated to. It's so dense and so good. It's like, yeah, of course a second viewing will give me even more to pick up on. Like, that's unquestionable.
Yeah, the whole show, it's right now it's as good as everyone says it is. It's my big fear cut by the end of it is that it's gonna make new anime seem worse by comparison. By being like, well, now that I've gotten a taste of like I'll have taken like the boomer pill and been like, man, anime used to be better back in the day. They were right.
Bro, like, random anecdote, I watched the first 3 episodes of Eva on the same day that I had just watched episodes 2 through 4 of Buchigiri and been super disappointed. And after those like episodes 2 through 4, I was just like, oh, I fucking hated watching that by the end. Like, I was molding at just like I was almost like I don't know, like, God, how can I be this bored at anime? This is like my passion in life. And then I watch Eva and I'm like, oh my God, anime is good. I love this stuff. Anime is my passion again. Like,
There
all it
is
took
a
was
reason
watching
to keep
Peak again.
going.
Eva is my reason to keep going. That's
dude. Watching this show, I understand how it made so many otaku. I understand how it like is responsible for like the birth of otaku. Like, I get it. Watching this show,
I get it on so many levels. It is so fucking good.
it feels, and I know I don't mean this to be like a backhanded compliment, but it feels like a television show more than an anime, if that makes sense. It feels like
I'm
it's
trying to
paced
parse
like
what
a
you
TV.
mean. I don't really get it. I don't think I've
feels
seen
like
enough
it's
television
paced
shows, like live action stuff.
Like, it feels like it deserves to be a television show, like that demands to be watched more so than like, the tens of thousands of shows that are made. Like, there are shows that are made, but this one was like crafted.
That I do get and completely agree with. Overall, this could be a 10. Like, it goes so hard. It goes unreasonably hard. And I dearly hope it is, because it's been nearly a year since I've given something a 10 out of 10. So, I want that in my life.
It is a very empowering feeling to finish something that you truly believe is a 10, and you slap that score on it, and you're like, and after you do, you're not second guessing yourself. You're like, yeah, it's a 10.
I want that satisfaction that I had watching Dragon Maid Season 2 and being like, that was the best thing I've ever seen. 10 out of 10. Unquestionably. Second favorite show of all time.
It is a high that no drug can compare to if you consume media like we do.
Yeah.
And
so,
this whole block of episodes has gotten me more excited for watching End of Evangelion later on this month. Because like now that I know how good the show is, seeing a film version of that with like a film production on the big screen with like this level of like knowledge of how Eva functions and what makes it good and how it's crafted, seeing that in person on the big screen, I might coom.
yeah, so... Oh god, I was gonna say something and I already forgot it. Fuck. I thought I had something important to say, but then it left my mind, so I guess it wasn't that important after all.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we've left any, character on the cutting room floor. We haven't talked about Ritsuko that much, but honestly, she hasn't really done much, at least in comparison to all the other characters that we've talked about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she's just kind of there, but I mean, she has a good character design, so I don't mind her being there. She serves her place in the show well, I feel.
Yeah, everyone in the show has a good character design. Even Shinji has a good design, and he, you could be argued as like the most basic looking of the cast. He looks like an average fuck.
But he's such a cool looking average fuck. Like,
Exactly.
That's such a memorable design.
Yeah, truly go forth, young boy, and you will become a legend. And from the sounds of it sounds like we've run out of things to talk about for this episode.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say.
Alright, well, I feel like that'll bring this first installment of Eva Month to an end. If you want to keep up on our journey with us of watching Evangelion, as a reminder, for the first time, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode. New episodes are going to be coming out every Thursday, every FELIZ JUEVES, where you can follow along with the episode counts in the description. And, if you want to watch End of Evangelion in theaters as well with GKIDS to go along with us, that they'll do that too. It's an opportunity that's doesn't come around often. The first time it's gonna be in theaters in North America, you just can't pass that up. You rather watch Solo Leveling than pass up this opportunity to finally cross Evangelion off your bucket list. Come on, get real.
Oh, of course I'd rather watch Solo Leveling, the peak of fiction. It's obviously the greatest thing ever made. Yeah, I'm very glad we didn't do that and instead went for Eva.
I do feel a little guilty of delaying Bleach for the nth time in Castaway Anime history, but I feel like this is a good cause, and now that we've set a precedent for making themed months out of March, I feel like now we can just dedicate March from here on out to like special themed months.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, we'll just have to see what we think of next year. If you have any suggestions, leave it in the comments below. So with that, I think that'll do her for this first episode of Castaway Anime during Eva Month. I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Crunchy Bagels.
And you'll see us next time.